You decide to go freelance in Spain because everyone tells you it is simple, flexible, and affordable in the first year, and then you open a government website, hear words like cuota, modelos, and declaraciones trimestrales, and suddenly the question stops being freedom and starts being survival. Not how to register, not how to invoice, but how much of your money actually stays yours in that first year as an autónomo. My name is Hector, and I work with people who become freelancers in Spain and want real numbers, not optimistic blog posts or horror stories from people who mixed up paperwork and penalties. The problem is that Spain sells freelancing as cheap at the beginning, which is technically true, but only if you understand how Social Security discounts, quarterly tax payments, and the annual income tax return interact. Most people look at one number in isolation, underestimate the others, and then feel blindsided when cash flow suddenly tightens months later. Watch until the end, because once you see a real first-year calculation from registration to the annual tax return, you will know exactly what to expect instead of guessing. The first thing that happens when you become autónomo is Social Security registration, because in Spain, you cannot freelance legally without paying into the system. This monthly payment is called the cuota de autónomos, and under normal circumstances, it can be several hundred euros per month, which scares people immediately. However, Spain offers a major incentive for new freelancers called the tarifa plana, which is where the first-year math changes completely. Under the current rules, new autónomos pay a heavily reduced Social Security contribution for the first 12 months. Instead of paying based on income brackets, you pay a flat reduced amount per month, which dramatically lowers the cost of entry. This is why so many people say the first year is cheap, because compared to later years, it genuinely is. So let us put real numbers on this. Imagine you start freelancing in January and qualify for the tarifa plana. Instead of paying a full contribution that might be over 300 euros per month, you pay a much lower flat amount each month for the entire first year. Over 12 months, this adds up to a few hundred euros total, not thousands, which is a huge difference for cash flow when you are just starting out. Now comes the part people misunderstand even more than Social Security: income tax payments during the year. As an autónomo, Spain does not wait until the end of the year to collect income tax. Instead, you make advance payments every quarter, using what are known as quarterly models, usually Modelo 130 for most freelancers. These quarterly payments are not a separate tax, and this is critical to understand. They are prepayments toward your final income tax bill. Think of them as deposits that reduce what you owe later, not extra charges on top of everything else. The calculation is straightforward but psychologically painful. Each quarter you calculate your profit, meaning your income minus deductible expenses, and then you pay a fixed percentage of that profit as an advance payment. This happens 4 times a year, regardless of whether you feel ready or not. Let us continue the example. Imagine in your first year you earn 30,000 euros in gross freelance income. After expenses like software, co-working, equipment, and professional services, your net profit is 24,000 euros. This profit is what matters for income tax, not the gross number. Each quarter, you calculate the profit for that period and pay the required percentage as an advance. Over the year, these quarterly payments might add up to several thousand euros. This is where many freelancers panic because it feels like Spain is taxing you constantly. But in reality, these payments are simply being credited toward your final annual tax bill. At the end of the year comes the annual income tax return, where everything is reconciled. This is when Spain looks at your total yearly profit, applies the progressive income tax brackets, and calculates how much income tax you actually owe for the year as a whole. Here is the key moment of clarity. If your total income tax liability for the year is higher than what you already paid through quarterly advances, you pay the difference. If it is lower, you get a refund. This is why those quarterly payments are not lost money, even though they feel heavy at the time. In year 1, many freelancers are surprised to find that their final tax bill is not dramatically higher than what they already paid during the year, especially if income was modest and expenses were real and well documented. The real shock usually comes later, when the tarifa plana ends and Social Security contributions increase. So let us summarize the first-year reality with one clean picture. You pay a reduced monthly Social Security fee thanks to the tarifa plana, which keeps fixed costs low. You make quarterly income tax prepayments based on profit, which affect cash flow but reduce your final bill. Then you file an annual return where everything balances out, not explodes. The biggest mistake is spending money as if quarterly tax payments do not exist. And the second biggest mistake is assuming that the first-year cost structure will continue forever. The first year is intentionally gentle, but it is temporary. And Spain expects you to be ready for higher obligations later. If you plan your first year correctly, the Autónomo system is not crushing, and it can be surprisingly manageable. If you ignore the structure and just focus on invoicing clients, the taxes feel random, aggressive, and unfair, even though they were predictable all along. The smartest freelancers treat year one not as free money time, but as a training period to build habits, reserves, and understanding. Because when the discounts disappear and the real contributions begin, the system does not change, only the amounts do. And by then it is too late to pretend you did not see it coming.